Hello, everyone. I'm Mary. I lead content and brand at Netguru, and I'm happy to welcome you all to another episode of Next in Commerce. And my guest today is Joann Wu from Uber. Hello, Joann.
Hi, Mary. How are you?
All good over here. There's a massive time difference between us. I think it's 8 hours or 9.
Yeah.
It's your early morning and it's the end of my workday. I'm super happy to be speaking with a person like yourself. To our audience, Joann is the global head of product design at Uber, VP global head of product design at Uber. But Joann, your career spans, well, a couple of years. And your specialty, it seems, is operating across complex multi-product platforms. I mean, going through your profile, you've spent 7 years at Silverline Group first, I guess, learning branding, advertising, anything there is to learn. It's a Silicon Valley-based advertising company. You've spent 10 years at LinkedIn and becoming VP Consumer Product Design. And now you're heading design at Uber. So I guess I want to ask you, if you were to leave behind one lesson about design leadership, what would it be?
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. If I think that there's one thing I want to leave behind, it will be adaptive, but build on top of being resilient. At the same time, always bias to action. I think I've been known for that. And I also feel that's very important for any leader, actually, not only just design leader, to go that way.
This bias, do you mean that it's always better to act, fail, and move on? Is that what you're saying?
One, you have to have your principle, right? And but be aware of what's going on at the macro level and also the macro level. Therefore, you can detect signal from the noise and being adaptive because your team need you to lead them, right? Being adaptive, how to pivot. That's why I'm saying have a resilient, have principle, but then being adaptive.
Of course, we're going to be talking AI. We have to join the bandwagon. So basically, we have been writing as Netguru on AI at Uber for a couple of years now. We have a newsletter dedicated to AI news, and there's always Uber popping up every 2 weeks. I think it would be super interesting to our audience to hear about the most interesting use cases that you could talk about nowadays, and it can be anything you want, basically, because I know that you're dealing with AI across the whole organization, client-facing, internal projects. So anything you'd like to talk about.
Yeah, there is definitely exciting time and talk about being adaptive. That's how we being adaptive getting into AI space. I love when you use case. That's where design user experience and tend to start. Uh, Most recently, we launched a few AI native experience on our app. I want to talk about that a little bit since design principle wise, we also want to translate complex data interface into very simplified experience for user to use and being intuitive, remove friction, save time, and avoid complexity. Those principles continue when we start doing AI features or AI experience for user. And most importantly, anticipate our users' needs or intent. Therefore, you can see AI actually machine learning can help us from that perspective. And overall, this is part of our journey, right? How to bring agentic AI to our app. I give you three examples. The first one is we recently launched the Earner Assistant, meaning our drivers they always want to make a better decision in terms of where should I go and how can I make more, to earn more. Therefore, our machine learning, basically AI, can summarize the view of the marketplace and the real-time insight for the rider to help them to make those decisions. And answer those quick decision, this writer assistant is also helping our drivers to reduce their thinking load because the site itself also need to help earner navigate the app itself. So overall, that earner assistant not only translates the very complex earning trending earning trends or heat map into real-time guidance for our riders, but also for riders that they can for drivers that they can also ask follow-up questions. Therefore, we can help them to leverage our platform more efficiently. On the
Fantastic.
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, fantastic. I mean, I love that. It's like something very tangible and something Uber drivers can definitely benefit from, like instantly.
Yeah,
It's already on. It's already launched.
Yeah, it's in small audience, but we continue need to iterate and test. And on the other hand, on the rider side, we recently also launched rider assistant, which including voice booking assistant. You could imagine we already make the interface pretty intuitive. Where to is the box you tap into and request, right? Push a button, get a ride. It's already pretty simple. But if you think about use case, and many transportation or commerce needs much more complex, offers. Therefore, just for example, if a travel, I may want to say, hey, I have 5 luggages, and then there's 4 other people travel with me, etc. It's a complex scenario. So voice booking actually offers that instead you tap in, use voice. There's a microphone inside the word to search box. You can initial that conversation with the AI assistant. Therefore, we can make the interface itself both asynchronous with a voice input, but also visually show what option you can have. Overall, make the interaction simplified. Think about voice for a second. I also believe this extend our accessibility, right? For older adult or people may have a visual impairment, they can leverage voice instead of text booking. So therefore, I do think that this also save time for our riders and also reduce company load in a very technology-driven way.
Mhm.
And
Product design perspective. So internally, us at Netguru, of course, we work with AI-assisted workflows. We use a variety of tools. I'm not in design. I'm in growth, of course, but we work with AI every day. So I'm wondering about this perspective, and especially agentic AI, because this seems to be the buzzword of 2026.
yeah, I guess talking about design tools, they always change. And with agentic AI, now there's more tools right beyond Figma. The adoption with the AI tooling or understand how AI works is very important for design process. And I tend to call this more like a design maturity for AI, right? And design teams maturity tend to have a journey. I identify to my team that there are roughly 4 different stages. When we all started back in 2024, it's more like this limited and reactive stage where people start exploring based on their interest and more generic AI, right? Creating assets, but it's not a systematic way. The next stage, which we just kind of move to past the stage I call developing. That's where the design team can be more intentional with both adoption and fluency. We create quite a bit of framework for help design team getting inspired and also invest and delivery. Those the 3 kind of a keywords that I use it as a framework to guide the design team from developing to the next phase I call embedded. Through those, framework, when we say we inspire design team is we create, show and tell space to do how AI. Therefore, people can see other teams members building. Therefore, remove their first friction mainly about what I use AI for. We also collect those use cases, really starting kind of manually in 2024, building those stacks in order for people to see each other's work. Again, that's the inspiration part. I also call invest, since if we kind of expecting designer upskill their overall skill sets by adopting AI, we need to invest in our team. We do trainings, we do peer trainings actually. That help more like a bottom-up approach, right? Why top-down, all those training also meet where teams are. We do have a more advanced designers, we call them design builders, that they adapt really fast. But they also help the team volunteer those working sessions, peer kind of a mentorship for those people who are adapting a little bit slower. But we meet where they are, having the right pace to teach and also train. So you can see both inspire to see each other work and invest from pragmatically education training. We bring the team all on the same pace, moving towards more as an embedded stage where we really embrace the AI approach. And now I see a lot of complex prototyping by using web coding, and also help designer getting closer to the production code. Most importantly, Uber is very complex. When we design, a lot of team need to use real data, and using AI enable those tools help us to getting closer to those real data. Therefore, you avoid only design happy paths, right? You look into the edge cases and including localization, because there's a different market that we're serving for the user. Therefore, overall, I do see a lot of a good impact by leveraging AI more intentionally. UX are also in our team. I tend to think UX are the bottleneck is how you communicate with stakeholder about those insights and how you bring them in, participate. With AI, we've been using the notebook LMM to communicate our insights, findings, and become a podcast, right? And those will help stakeholder getting more engaged rather than reading tons of pages of text as a top takeaway. Because we have a more advanced builder, even with the UXR team, they start using web coding to create those tools that we call repository index. You can imagine with years of cumulative insight, we have this repository. With AI, we create those index set where you can ask question and get answer by pulling those insights we've been learned through years. So those practices, I definitely see the benefit from leveraging AI, and therefore our UXR team can get a much more engagement and therefore influence the roadmap moving forward. The same practice apply to content design. They can do auditing, they can brainstorm with AI tools, and overall both content design, UXR, and of course the product design, as I just mentioned, I do think that being benefit from leveraging AI overall.
Just out of curiosity, vibe coding, you're thinking of it more as a way of quick experimentation for now. Do you think, or maybe it's bound to become something more substantial in a couple of years, or maybe in a year from now? What am I talking about? Things are changing so fast. Do you think we're going to be able to vibe code something important for Uber, for example, in the nearest future?
Yeah, we already see that in practice. Since I mentioned we are moving from developing to embedded mode, right, with AI fluency. Designer right now all doing web coding much more. So you move away from the static mock-up to become more dynamic prototype by web coding. I see that as a benefit, even bring cross-functional team more on the same page. Previously, you probably just talk about ideas, and now you can do web coding and show the ideas, right, in variations too. Therefore, getting cross-functional alignment, move forward from the development process a little bit faster. So I do see that as a kind of a trend right now. I mentioned that earlier, to get closer to the code itself, right? Shipping PRs, for example. AI definitely make a product designer more powerful. You can upstream more getting into product strategy, insight-driven product strategy, or you can move to the downstream, getting closer to the code. Previously, you may just do static mock and hand over to engineering. Even with your spec, there may be still misses for fit and finishes. Now you're empowered to do those fit and finishes, right? Therefore, the whole development process is more streamlined by participation from different cross-functional team. And overall, I see it's empowerment.
We have this Gen AI driven creation, with experimentation, we have testing.
Yeah.
What about the human in the loop?
Of course.
If you could give your point of view on that.
Yeah, human in the loop is so important since, as I mentioned earlier in the design principle, you always need to start with the user, right? The user, what's the pain point we're trying to solve? What's the job to be done we're addressing? That part is still fundamental. We can never miss that part. With AI, even pulling the insight, it help you to evaluate your hypothesis, but the hypothesis based on what's the problem we're solving. Even why we're building certain things, it's important from the human-centric perspective. And during this evaluation or development process, again, we learn from user. We bring those insights back, and then we iterate on top of it. Human, even including ourselves, a designer as a human, we're in the loop, right? We are the one being responsible for all the result, as well as the exploration, variation of possibilities. Eventually, we are the one being responsible, making the call. Human always be the center. That's where we start, and also where we make a judgment call based on.
Mm-hmm. Who's the designer of the future then?
Designer for the future, everyone. I think overall, as I mentioned, the designer being empowered right now. Therefore, the future, in my opinion, is really about how you take business insight, user pinpoint, and plus understand technology. What's the advantage and what's the constraint you can leverage? Therefore, you will become the future of design. And now when we talk of future, we tend to think about younger designers, right? When they're still in school, I do think that they have an advantage to take it since they may become AI native designer. They learn the tool maybe faster. They also don't have previously how the pre-side process. They may be able to bring some new perspective, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, I was thinking about this, the blending of the roles nowadays, right? Because on the one hand, you have teams that are pretty efficient, teams of seniors in AI, for example. Teams of seniors in AI, they can do a lot. Possibly much more than larger teams, including juniors back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we see happening in the market across different departments. On the other hand, you have these young people who are trying to get on the market. There is this massive talk of AI-driven job apocalypse, the so-called job apocalypse. And there's this growing fear that instead of enablement and enhancement, empowerment, as you call it, we're going to have problems with juniors finding jobs. But you kind of completely turn the table on this. You seem to be very optimistic. Would you say you strongly believe that these young people just about to enter the market might have this mm, this AI edge that will make them super useful to employers?
Yeah, I do think that, we do hire young graduate,
Mm-hmm.
right, from both the engineering, PM, and design. Overall, we do see them being the AI adaptive, faster kind of a generation. Um, Therefore, I would encourage all of them to build the confidence, right? Not only just mastering the tool, you still need to understand all the user pinpoint, business insights, etc. But you probably also need to build the resilience. Right now, the overall, everyone try to figure out things. You're part of that too. So therefore, I would encourage the young designer don't feel discouraged. Try new things, and also build a solid foundation. Therefore, you will be part of the overall workforce, and together with the senior, you learn from them, and also plus senior can learn from the younger generation how they think about things from very fresh perspective, right? As I previously mentioned, they don't have the mindset to say, oh, that has to be this way. Therefore, the combination of senior, junior, and of course AI agent, that's a really fascinating co-creation going to happen.
I'm definitely learning a lot from employees who are much younger than me. I've been around for quite a while, so this perspective is always something super valuable to any company. But I
Yeah.
can understand the fear. I can understand the fear. I hear a lot about it, and I'm wondering how you approach it, and also from the perspective of people who are on your team or on the teams, any design team, and are maybe a bit more reluctant. Like at the beginning, you mentioned that people are in a different stage of the journey,
Yeah.
right? At any company, when we're talking about AI fluency. So how do you encourage people? You say that you inspire. This is strong part of
Mhm.
the framework, but what would you maybe suggest or add here for our leaders out there listening, how to approach this, how to help people love AI in their everyday work?
I don't think they need to love AI. They just need to realize that the environment has changed, the way we work has changed. Therefore, by only being worried or scared, it doesn't help anything, right? Because things may out of your control, which I don't think a worry will help anyway. And things within your control, if you add more worry, anxiety, being scared, it probably distract you from where you should pay attention, where you should spend your time and energy. That's the part I tend to talk to my team all the time, right? Stay focused, what's under your control, building the skill side, up level your skill side. That's regardless AI or not. You always need to keep learning. Growth mindset is the one thing I always feel is part of our culture. If we have a growth mindset, you will always appreciate getting the feedback, knowing what's going on, and being adaptive. Earlier, you asked me a question. What's one thing I want to leave behind? That's where I do think, have the resilience, but build on top of being adaptive is how everyone can grow overall. That's the part I do think it's a mentality shift as a leader. Not only have the talk, you also need to role modeling it. Myself, I do, right? Do some of the work, including my directors. We do role modeling that. Therefore, it also create a psychology of safety for everyone else to see. Okay, even you're a senior, you almost need to start over a little bit in terms of up level your skill side. Therefore, there will be some failures, but don't we worry about those. More focusing on what you learned, how can you either gradually, step by step, getting to the next phase or leapfrog it, right? So overall, that's the environment. I think it's very important for a leader to create the psychology of safety of learning, role modeling it, and of course, emphasize on be focused and action oriented.
Mm-hmm. you seem like a person who's very excited about many things. You have this energy. What's the most exciting thing about the AI era in general, from your point of view?
Yeah, it's kind of related to my answer to the last question. I think that beside all the possibility from the AI of creation, all the exciting technology part, I feel the exciting part is figure things out because the playbook previously we have may change. Therefore, you're part of a defining phase, right? And how many times in our career you could be part of the redefine revolution, if you could call that. For some people, like you previously mentioned, they might feel a little bit uncertainty, and which is true. But for other people, I think make that excitement be part of your career. That's where I think that overall it's fascinating to be part of this phase, right, in your career. If we all stay curious and willing to try new things, be part of something new, that's the most exciting phase, in my opinion.
That's true. We are witnessing a massive revolution right in front of our eyes. And we also have a chance to put in some guardrails ourselves, especially all the leaders out there. So we can shape it in a human-centered way.
100%.
And yes, speaking of working with a cause, with a mission, when we prepared for the conversation, I asked you about the women empowerment topic, being a woman leader. I love having women leaders here. I wish I had more leaders, women leaders on the show in technology, and I hope that will be the case soon. And you said it is a cause close to your heart, and I know you have an interesting perspective on women empowerment and AI, so please share it with us.
Yeah, of course. I know, even when I was younger in my career, you tend to have an imposter syndrome, especially when it comes to technology, right? I come from agency and transform myself to be in-house in the high-tech area. The imposter syndrome can be real. And for some, women, they tend to shy away from learning the technology. But with AI, I actually think that AI can strengthen women empowerment and take advantage of that in workplace. I probably previously shared the example, with AI, those tools, just ask questions directly. If you don't know how I going to use AI, even as simple as that, just ask, because those AI tools can help you, give you tips or even how to, a specific 1, 2, 3, 4, without judgment, right? Therefore, your imposter syndrome or fear of being judged if you ask basic question, it should get removed from that sense. Leverage that technology, and therefore that can be your digital assistant, right? Or you could treat it as a mentor if you're building that kind of relationship. The AI will know you, building some, tools for yourself. That's where you can really leverage it. That's where I see the beauty of AI. And overall, as you mentioned, I do think a way as a woman I need to get involved more in designing the AI system, because the artificial intelligence overall is revolutionizing how we live everyday lives and also shaping the decision making. If we're not involved, we're not be part of that making, I potentially see probably there will be, perpetuated bias may continue developing. Therefore, all those that can seep into the system, probably there will be unintended consequences, right? When it's come with policy decision or hiring algorithm or even medical imaging, right? Kind of analysis. So that's where I see women need to get involved, be part of that, not only just the AI consumption usage, but be part of the designing that system, influence that system. We talk about human-centric. That's super, super important. And overall, I'm mom of two teenager or young adults, girls, one getting to college. I do see, we need also very intentionally curate or create that pipeline. So for young girls, they don't afraid to learn math. They don't afraid to, getting AI education included. Therefore, they can getting more exposure to this opportunities in tech, right? So very early on in middle school, high school, we should very intentionally invest in them. And additionally, it's also important. That's why I come to the show for women who are in this high tech in the AI area industry to show our perspective and getting those exposure or visibility. Because young ladies or young girls, as I mentioned, my daughters, they look up. They need to have someone to look up for, and they can build the confidence and also knowing there are possibility and opportunities for them to be part of something bigger, something revolutionary.
Couple
So
of
that's
great points
my
there.
perspective.
Couple of great points there. To all the women, girls out there, don't be afraid of technology and make the most of the AI tools we have
Yes.
at hand. Found AI companies and don't be afraid to reach higher in the companies that are already out there. Joann, what would you tell your younger self if you've had the opportunity?
My younger self is more drawn into the art, the making, the pixel. If I can live again, I probably will learn more about business and technology. Therefore, from the beginning, designer or design as function will feel empowered, always be part of the, bigger mission rather than just focusing on the craftsmanship itself. That would be my advice to my younger self.
I love that as an ending to the show, and I appreciate this point a lot. I've been lucky enough in my life to have this business perspective early on, and it does change your thinking in an everyday work setup substantially. It does help a lot in a career.
Yes.
Thank you so much
Thank you.
for coming to the show. Fantastic time with you. Thank you for sharing all the insights from Uber, but I'm also really thankful for your own perspective as a woman leader.
Thank you so much, Mary. This is really a pleasure to share my perspective.
Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. If you're going to have any questions to Joann, feel free to put them in the comments. Joann, if you'd be so kind to answer them later on, that would be really, really fantastic. Thank you so much and have a great day.